Hey everybody, it's Missy. Thank you for joining me again today. This layout is for the Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2015 October Hip Kits. And I was inspired to use a lot of the different teals and light blues in the kits this month, including those beautiful darker blue sparkly glitter thickers. And I had an idea going around in my head like I usually do when I start a page. And so I picked out everything that I liked that had the teal or the blue color on it. And I am going to incorporate some of the exclusive printables in this layout later on. So I started with this pink paisley memorandum pattern paper here, and I'm going to do some mixed media work on it. And then I'm going to change it because I wind up not liking how it looks. And this layout is going to turn out completely different than my original plan, which seems to be the case with me lately. I start one thing and wind up not liking it, and so I just change it to where I do like it. So I'm just got some white gesso here, and I'm going to cover a lot of this pattern paper. And I wanted to blend out a lot of the pattern in the middle. And so after the gesso dried, I got some white acrylic paint, and I'm just kind of doing the same technique here with the gift card and just smudging it around. And I knew that the white paint would be a little thicker and it would cover up the pattern a little bit more. And I'm just prepping the background for more work that I'm going to do here. I'm going to use one of the exclusive stencils that came in the color kit and some modeling paste. And this is the one with the little, not flowers, little leaf sprigs on it. And I'm just trying to basically create some texture on the background. At this point, my idea is still going in my head. And I like the way it looks, but I think what happened was I just did too much of it. It was overkill once I get done with this piece of this layout. I pulled out the Mermaid Lagoon from a couple of color kits ago because I wanted to bring in some of that darker blue that's going to match those thickers. And I'm just doing the packaging technique here. And while I love this color, I don't know, it just didn't jump out at me as something I loved. I don't know if it was the combination of this bright blue mixed in with the pattern of this background paper. I don't know. Something about it, I didn't love it. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I wasn't wowed by it. And so I was not inspired to keep going. And it's pretty, but I just felt like I did too much of it. I don't know. It just wasn't jumping out at me. But before I give up, I bring out these beautiful, awesome Prima watercolor pencils. And I wanted to get some different shadings. I wanted to bring in some of the lighter aqua or teal and then some of the darker color. And so those are the two pencils that I'm using there. And I love this little water brush that I got. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat today. The water brush makes it really, really easy and quick to spread these watercolor pencils around, because you just do a little bit of scribbling and a little bit of brushing and it's done. So here's my idea. I came back the next day and decided I didn't really like this as a background, and so I'm going to make shapes out of it and use it on another page. So I got my big punch out and I make a mess of this paper and I just hack it up by punching circles. Overnight, I let it sit and I thought about it and came up with another idea, and it worked out a lot better, I think. And I had to fight with my punches here. I kind of have to cut it straight to fit the whole punch on there because it was not going to go inside one of the other circles. I just could not make it fit. So I had to fuss with it for a bit, but it didn't matter because I knew that I was going to cut this paper to bits to get all these circles out of it. So I'm still getting the mixed media look and I'm still getting the texture from the stencil, but I'm just going to use it in little bits like this. And I like how this turned out a lot better. So I wanted to use the circles as a design element here, and I wanted to use some of these Project Life cards. I really get a lot of use out of the Project Life cards, even though I don't do Project Life. They make excellent layers, and they also, some of them are really good for titles. Like I love the You and Me there. It's perfect. And I wanted to use you know, lots of different blue shades here. So I've got the teal, I've got a little bit of the lighter aqua greenish color, and then the light baby blue, or whatever color you want to call that. That is the that Project Life card. And so I picked out a lot of embellishments. I did want to tie a little bit of the wood grain into it, so I do have a little bit of that in the background. So I'm just going to lightly stick down the circles so I can remember where I want them and where they're going to go. And I'm just going to do a lot of sorting through all of the embellishments, because even though I picked out a ton of them, you know, a lot of them don't make it onto the page just because of the nature of the design or the size of the embellishment. Just depends. And this Jen Hadfield collection from Pebbles is really, really pretty. There's a lot of bits and pieces from that collection in these kits, and it's got a lot of wood grains, really pretty teals, you know, lightish green color, and coral. And I do get some coral in the mix on this page. My original thought was just to do different tones of blues and light greens, but the corals do make it onto this page, and I'm glad they did, because I think it's a pretty contrast to the blues and the greens. So I punched a couple more little circles out there, and I do want to jazz up the background a little bit. I don't go overboard at all, and I'm going to use the Prima watercolor pencils again, and I'm just going to give a little bit of shading around the edges of my rectangle cluster here, and I'm just using that light teal pencil. And if you don't do mixed media and you're wanting to try it, these pencils are a great way to start, because literally you just scribble the pencil on, add a little bit of water, and it smudges. And I did not put any gesso down, so I didn't want to add too much water here, because, you know, it's just pattern paper and I did not put anything down, and so I went light on the water. And it still smudged great. These are fun. These are addicting, because they're so easy to use, and the color is just beautiful. So I add a little bit more of the Mermaid Lagoon onto some plastic, just so I can do a little bit of splattering, because I still do want to keep that dark blue in the mix a little bit. This is the Cracked Pistachio Distress Paint from a few color kits ago, and I am going to do the packaging technique just a little bit here and there to add some of that light greenish color to the background. And I didn't add too much water because, again, I didn't use any gesso or anything on the background, and so I didn't want the paper to warp or tear because of that. And I really like how this looks a lot better than the original layout. So I'm going to incorporate some of this washi tape from the Jen Hadfield collection. And I'm just kind of experimenting here. I wasn't sure if I liked this or not, but I wanted to jazz up some of the circles, and so that's what I'm doing here. And I am going to come back in a minute with some stitching, but I wanted to get everything down first. And this washi tape, there's really a lot of it. There's 4 pages of all these different strips of washi tape and all the different colors that coordinate. And some of them have words on them. I love that Keep Life Simple. And then this light coral blush color just says hello, hello, hello. And I had to be careful because it didn't really look that pretty on top of the darker blue. It kind of took away from the blush color. And so I put it down underneath the cluster or the layers there, so it would the true color would stand out a little bit more. And these are circles that I punched from my first layout that I intended to use but did not, and I'm going to use them around the page as well. And I'm just playing here. It took me a while. I just brought in different embellishments and, you know, tried them here, tried them there, see what I like. Because I've got the base of the design finished. Yes, I drum my fingers a lot when I'm thinking. I usually try and cut that out, but for this one, I did it quite a lot. Okay, that's where I did some stitching. I stitched on all these little circles by themselves before I attached them. And then I did stitching through all of the circles, some zigzag and some straight stitching. Not all the circles, almost all the circles. And I'm going to add some tissue paper there behind my picture, just because I'm addicted to tissue paper. And then I'm going to pop up the photo. I'm also going to pop up some of these little circles. And I just used gold thread for stitching those. And I'm going to leave the thread kind of long, hanging out, just to add a little bit more interest, because I love thread. And the circles that I punched were from one of the Jen Hadfield pattern papers. And they're actually squares, but they're perfect for an 1.5 inch circle punch. So again, I'm just playing with embellishments, trying to decide what goes where. This is actually kind of hard to do when there's so many awesome pieces, because you want to use them all, but you know, you don't want to overdo it on your page. You don't want to make it too busy and add too much into one area, and so you kind of have to pick and choose. So I'm coming back in with some more washi tape, and this is a light blush color with white polka dots. And I'm just going to kind of tear it and make it look uneven and messy, and just add a little bit under some of these circles, just for a little bit more interest. I was really pleased with how this turned out. I really liked it much better than my original idea. And so I've done this several times. Gold embossing here. These are the We Are Family collection from Simple Stories, and I'm going to gold heat emboss that little cluster of hearts, circles, and this little camera. And this is something fun and easy to do if you want some extra sparkle on your page. There's so many things you can do with the wood veneer. You can paint it, you can use mist, you can use gelatos, you can leave it as is, or my favorite, you can emboss it. I'm mesmerized when this heat gun turns this gold powder into, when it just sets. It's so pretty. You can just watch it melt. Very cool. And the gold embossing powder that I used is from Michaels. And there are some glittery gold hearts. I believe those are in the Pink Paisley Ephemera pack. And I'm going to use some of those around the page also. And I'm adding in some gold tangled thread before I adhere that wood veneer. It takes me a lot longer than it should to get that wood, or to get the thread just like I like it. Now, I'm sure there's a way to print this and cut this on your cameos, but I have not figured that out yet. So I'm going old school here. I just printed this out on printer paper and I'm cutting it the old-fashioned way. And if you are a HipKit member, you can download this for free. And they are awesome. So many little circles and little sentiments that you can use on your paper, or on your layout or your project. I'm going to come in with some gold color shine. And this video turned out to be very long, so I cut out some of my journaling and adding my title. And that's the final page. I like it so much better than my original idea. I hope you guys liked it. Took me a while to finally get it to where I like it, and it turned out nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions. Make sure you visit the HipKit Club at hipkitclub.net to check out all the available kits. And I want to thank all of my subscribers for joining me. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.